him and one other brother were going to try to shoot at the flying light. It was just a light in the sky, and it was hovering still. Hello and welcome back to the show. I'm Kijik Topcock.
And I'm Kitavito.
In our villages, we have a favorite pastime of gathering around and telling scary stories. Ijiki, who wants to tell ghost stories? If you don't know, Ijiki means scary in our native Inupiaq language, so it's pretty common around here. Today we'll be talking about the weird paranormal stories that I've heard over the years about the Gnome Teller Highway, and not too far away from the highway at the Teller camps up the river. First story, this happened right outside of Teller on the Gnome Teller Highway, and it was a Bigfoot sighting. A few summers ago, my family member and her significant other were driving during the day on the Gnome Teller Highway near Teller's dump site when they saw a Bigfoot appear suddenly. They said it was a really tall, white, hairy creature on two legs. When they saw it, they're like fumbling with their phones, like trying to get their camera out to record, because you can be rich and famous if you do. But it ran away so fast, by the time they got their phones ready, it was already gone.
And that place has a lot of sightings of strange stuff near the dump, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of people see stuff there?
Mostly bears, but yeah, some strange lights, UFOs, and I guess Bigfoot now. I wonder why it had white fur.
Maybe it was old. Yeah, just like people when they're old, they get white hair.
Weird. This next story is pretty creepy. It happened like in between Gnome and Teller, about halfway, and it happened to my brother-in-law. I didn't know if I should say his name or not. One winter night, my brother-in-law was snow-going with a few other buddies of his. When they stopped for a smoke break, they saw an orange orb about the size of a basketball float by. They all had to ask each other and look at each other like, you see that too, right? So obviously they're spooked, and they all took off on their machines.
Damn, one time I was with my brother. I was in Washington State, and I saw an orange globe flying in the sky. And it was under the clouds, and it was glowing like molten metal, and it was orange, and it was this perfect sphere. And I saw it go from one horizon all the way to the other. And my brother watched it with me, but he doesn't remember it anymore, but I do.
Weird. What if it was some type of experiment and scientists? But how would they even do it?
Honestly, it was kind of hard to gauge its size also because it was right below the clouds. It was a very cloudy day, and it was just floating, and it was glowing like this intense light. Like, it wasn't like gleaming bright, but it looked like it had a lot of power, like it was glowing like red hot or something.
Weird. Interesting. And on the Gnome Teller Highway, we have a whole bunch of little people sightings all along the highway. People see them there all the time. So over the years, there have been many sightings of little people on the highway, including my sister, who saw a small man run really fast across the road, like they were driving in a car. And she said it was like up to her knee, and she's pretty short.
How tall is your sister?
She's 5 foot.
Oh, and it was only up to her knee. That would make it around 1 foot tall, huh?
Yeah.
Damn. Did she describe it?
She said it was wearing black, so she couldn't really, but she said it was a man for sure, and it ran so fast across the street.
So was it wearing black or was it black like a shadow?
I think it was black, and she just thought it was wearing something really dark.
That's really small.
So it was like a shadow person, little person. And here's a sighting that actually happened to me. I was in Teller and I was gonna drive back here to Gnome. And I drove there by myself and I was planning to drive back to Gnome behind my sister's car by myself. My niece felt so bad that she wanted to ride with me in the passenger seat of my truck. So I let her and we were driving. It was 4 a.m. It was dark. It was late fall. We just got done native dancing super late into the night. And on our way back, I was so exhausted. All I could do was focus on the road and not fall asleep, you know? And I could just see in front of me. And my niece was just playing music and looking around when out of nowhere, she was like, "Did you just see those eyes?" And I was like, "What? No." She was like, "Yeah, they're on the side of the road." It had a pointy hat and a pointy nose. It was this big.
Damn, that sounds like Scandinavian folklore almost, the pointy hat and the pointy nose. Even one of my friends in Breivik, she was berry picking and a little person walked. She said it was around 3 foot tall, maybe a little taller than 2 feet or something. And it walked right in front of her and she was really scared. She said it had a really pointy nose, pointy ears, pointy chin. It was skinny, like lean. And its shoes had a curl, kind of like what you see of Santa's helpers or whatever, like an elf shoe. Which kind of makes you think, why in the middle of nowhere, Alaska, are we seeing the same features depicted in children's cartoons and folklore from the other side of the world?
And it's supposed to be made up, but maybe that's where they got it from. It's inspired by real little people.
Why would they wear the same pointy hats and pointy shoes like they do in Scandinavia and Irish folklore?
Maybe they migrate. Who knows?
Either that or they're all from the same place and it doesn't matter where you're at. If you see them, you see them.
That could be true. And after she said that, she was like, and there were 2 of them, like right on the side of the road, right next to a culvert marker, those orange markers they have. And it was dark enough that my headlights were lighting up the road and the sides of the road. The way she described what was happening, I knew she wasn't lying or trying to mess with me. She's like, first she saw eyes, and then she noticed it had a pointy nose, a pointy hat, and it was small, like she was shocked. And then I was like, "I think you just saw little people," and she got scared after I told her that. That is actually a trip that I asked if you wanted to go on, but you had work, and that would have been you in the passenger seat.
I might not have seen it though. I might have been sleeping or something. Who knows?
I bet they would have laughed at you.
Yeah, one of the people that visits my work a lot, she said she saw a little person sitting next to the stone house going on the Teller Highway, and it was just looking down the road, and she drove right by it. Broad daylight, it wasn't night. She said it was wearing furs.
Whoa. It's kind of like they're looking out for us, like they're the lookout for their tribe, maybe.
Like they're trying to see if anyone's coming to warn the others. Yeah. Like a scout.
Yeah, like they're put there. It's weird. This next story is about my sister. She said when she was small, she liked to follow my cousin and our family to fish camp up the river. So there's a highway, right? Uh-huh. And about 20 miles away is where up the river starts. You can boat along the highway, but kind of far away. One night, as it was getting dark outside, my sister and my cousin, because they were small, they weren't ready to go to bed, yet. They looked out the window and were told, "Get away from the window," by my uncle. They did, but not until they saw a small human figure jumping up and taking bites and pieces of the fish that was hanging, that they just hung up. The next day, my sister looked at the fish and saw small missing pieces of meat where the small figure stole.
So it jumped up and bit them with its mouth without grabbing it with its hands?
I think that's what my sister said she saw.
Kind of like a hungry, hungry hippo?
Mm-hmm. Like it just wanted a snack or something.
Why would it do that, though? I mean, they have arms.
Yeah. She said she saw bite marks.
Oh, okay. Should have took pictures of the bite marks.
And my uncle, he's probably seen them before because he was scolding them because they were small. He was telling them, "Get away from the window. Like, don't mess with them," you know?
Why are people afraid of them? I'm not afraid of them.
Well, they're super strong and they're fast. It's reasonable, I think.
I'm strong and fast.
But you said you won't stop them if they try to take me. Or you said you can't.
I don't even know what kind of powers they have.
Yeah. You never know. They could try to take me, just like that one gnome lady that was actually harassed by one. It like fell in love with her. In a book I read, I'm pretty sure it was called Once Upon an Eskimo Time. It's a really good book based on a true story. So in our next story is on the highway, and this is a rumor, like I'm not really sure it happened, but I heard it from people I know, so it must be true. We'll see. When driving on the highway, it's always been said not to travel alone, especially when the danger of running into brown bears is so common. I heard of this rider who was in for a shock of his life when he decided to drive alone. While driving, he realized an airplane was flying really low. Before long, the plane was flying directly above him. It was close enough that the rider got a glimpse of the pilot, and to the rider's horror, the pilot had no head. It's not known what the rider did next, but I imagine it was terrifying being on a rough road in the middle of nowhere, seeing a paranormal plane like that.
So it was a headless, just like the headless horseman, a headless pilot?
Mm-hmm.
And it flew close enough to him?
It was following him.
Did he say he could hear the plane too, or no? Wonder if it was like dead silent, or if it was like...
Maybe it happened a long time ago and it's a time distortion.
But then how could, if it was a time distortion, how could it fly with no head though? That wouldn't make sense.
Maybe he got attacked a long time ago and it was still flying in that same place. It wouldn't be the first time a time distortion happened on the highway.
His head ripped off while he was flying?
I have no idea. But how would that, you think it's a ghost?
I don't know. It doesn't really make sense for it to fly without a head. Maybe it has something to do with the headless horseman mythology. Maybe, I don't know. Did he say it was gory? Like head was ripped off?
Just had no head. That's all the rumor says.
That doesn't make any sense. That's weird.
In another time distortion story, it happened to my cousin out on the Gnome Teller Highway. Her and her boyfriend were on an ATV. And so when you go out on the highway, you start to memorize all the rivers and bridges. You know where you're at because you've been on it so long. My cousin was driving with her boyfriend, and she noticed they kept going over and over the same place, and she mentioned it, and he was like, "No, we're fine." And she was like, "No, we already passed this place 2 times already." Somehow they got through it. They broke through the time distortion.
What'd they do to get out of it?
I don't know.
I heard that you had to pee on the ground in order to get out of it. And they also talked about it in Irish folklore where you're supposed to put your clothes inside out or your pockets inside out or something.
Yeah, I heard that it's supposed to be your jacket.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So your jacket inside out, and for some reason that makes it stop, which to me doesn't really make sense. Like, why would that make it stop?
Maybe it's like everywhere, everything everywhere all at once when you have to do something weird to start a new timeline or jump to a new one.
I wonder what causes those distortions. It's really strange where you keep looping.
So in this next story happened up the river. On a dark fall night, a family was bunking down when a burst of light lit up the dark sky. They looked out of the window of their cabin to see an unidentified flying object landing not too far away from their cabin. To this very day, on that spot where the family saw the craft land is a bald spot in the grass. There is an oval shape in the grass where no plants have grown since that fateful night. Was it alien technology preventing anything from growing there again? Testing has yet to be done.
Maybe some type of radiation or something killing all life in that zone.
Like, both you and I went to that spot.
Yeah, I grabbed some mud, but I didn't do anything with it. I forgot about it.
Yeah, it's also considered good luck to stop at the UFO spot, too. So this next story happened to my brother. It was also a dark fall night. It's so weird how all of these stories happened in the dark of fall, pretty much. My brother was ATVing with his other friends who were on ATVs as well. They were driving down the highway near Teller when their headlights illuminated what looked to be a reindeer hide floating in the air above the bushes. He said they drove away so fast because it was so scary to think of like what could be powerful enough to make the hide float like that.
So it was just a skinned hide floating?
Mm-hmm. Floating in the air. Didn't you say that could be like a Wendigo or?
I've never heard of Wendigos floating. Not sure.
Yeah, that would be so scary to see.
So it was like a skinned hide floating in the air like a magic carpet?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. I wonder if it was bent or if it was flat or...
He said it was like it's stuck in the air, like nothing touching it. You could tell it was up above the bushes.
Now that is definitely mysterious. I can't even think of what would cause that.
Why a reindeer hide of all things? Why couldn't it be a blanket? Ooh, this next one is so good. So this happened to my dad and his brothers when they were out hunting a long time ago in the late 90s. They were on their way to moose hunt up the river. The weather was getting windy, so they stopped to spend the night at Ptarmigan Point.
We were camping at Ptarmigan Point, huddled in a dome tent without a rainfly. The night was clear, the wind whipping outside, but our spot was strangely still. Late into the night, one of us couldn't sleep. That's when he saw it, a light in the sky, moving slowly, not too high above. It woke the rest of us, and we all stared in disbelief. This wasn't a plane or anything we recognized. It hovered, barely moving, bathed in the light of a billion stars. Eventually, it took off briefly, only to reappear much later. We went back inside, but it wasn't over. Through the mesh of our tent, the light returned. This time it ascended at an angle and vanished. It was silent, moving in an unnatural way, almost as if it was studying us. The whole thing was unnerving. My brothers, ever excitable, were talking loudly, the light seeming to inch closer. That's when one of them nearly committed the most foolish act imaginable. He almost shot at it. Thankfully, our other brother stopped him. And then, things get hazy. One brother claims that after the near shooting, everything went black. They woke up, floating in our boat, as if placed there. None of us could remember how we got from the tent to the water. Stranger yet, we all had a metallic taste in our mouths. Juice, water, coffee, nothing could wash it away. The only thing that finally helped was eating wild salmon berries from the tundra. That's my UFO story. Maybe it sounds simple, but it's true. The light, the blackout, that lingering taste. I can't explain it. And though I'm glad my brother stopped the shooting, I sometimes wonder what would have happened if he hadn't.
Him and one other brother were going to try to shoot at the flying light. It was just a light in the sky, and it was hovering still, and it made no noise. It was just like right there above them, and the brothers had to stop two other brothers from wanting to shoot at it because you never know what's going to happen. And I told my dad, I'm so glad you stopped them because maybe it would have taken you guys and we never would have saw you again. But the brother said that they all blacked out and they woke up in the boat and they were just floating and they were left with a metallic taste in their mouth. And nothing could get that metallic taste out of their mouth except for ukpiks, salmon berries from the tundra that could get it out.
One of the common side effects of chemotherapy from the radiation treatment is a metallic taste in your mouth from the treatment. So exposure to radiation can cause a metallic taste in the mouth. So that means that they're exposed to a type of dangerous radiation to a degree that's strong enough to kill cells. Meaning that the light that they saw was emitting some type of radiation that... Did any of them get cancer?
I don't think so.
Who knows if it was a dangerous radiation or what? It's not necessarily dangerous radiation because occasionally when people get CT scans, which is like X-ray, they'll taste a metallic taste in their mouth. But judging from the fact that they all tasted it, it could mean that it was a dangerously high level of some type of radiation. It'd be impossible to say unless they had their closed test or something right after the incident.
I'm pretty sure they didn't. This was in the late 90s before the technology of drones, and if it was a drone, it would have made noise.
And how's a drone going to knock people out and make them all forget their memory?
It was just a bright light, too. Yeah, that was definitely a UFO, I think.
How the hell would his brother know that radiation causes a metallic taste in the mouth? He's from a village. He goes hunting. He doesn't know anything about radiation and metallic taste. That clue alone makes it highly improbable that he made it up, because how would he even think, like, oh, I should say that I had a metallic taste in my mouth. That way they think it was radiation exposure that caused it, when he doesn't know about radiation.
Also, he said they tried to have water. They tried to have juice to get the taste out, but the only thing that could get it out was salmon berries from the tundra.
I would say he's definitely not lying because of the metallic taste thing.
Like, that is one weird detail. And I'm pretty sure, I don't think he would know about radiation and stuff like that. Those are all the stories that we have today for you, but here are some things to remember when going out on a road trip or any kind of trip. Tell your family or friends who you're going with and when you'll be back. Carry a GPS just in case you break down or need medical attention. Now it's time for a laugh break from the spooky vibes. I have a meme here from thealaskalife.com. And it says, in Alaska, you can drive for miles and miles and not see a soul until you pull over and start to pee. I would be driving and I wouldn't see anybody. But then right when I need to use the bathroom and I pull over, there's like a long line of slow cars behind me. Don't forget to check out Q's merch shop. It has awesome designs of paranormal creatures. The shirt I'm wearing is a kulukpuk, which is an Inupiaq word for Inuit mermaid that is said to live on the ice and steal children that like to play on the ice during ice break. These are awesome t-shirts. I love them. I'm going to have to get more. They're so cool.
You need to open up your own merch shop.
I hope you enjoyed today's story. Be sure to give us a review and subscribe for more creepy ghost stories. If you'd like your stories to appear in the show, email me at doyouwantatellghoststories@gmail.com. Or find me on Facebook on the Facebook group at Ijiki, who wants to tell ghost stories. Until next time, this is Kijup.
And this is Kitavitok. Peace out.
Bye.